Greetings to each and all. Back again. And you see the title. Gloves off. Yes, the gloves are off. If you're not aware, the channel was taken down last week. This is my second channel destroyed. Evidently, the content of last week's video ruffled some feathers. I don't know how. We look at that video, there was only 26 views for a whole week, and one of those views was mine. I always watch the videos after I post them. I run through it once just to make sure there's not any mistakes in there, any gross mistakes at least. But someone of those few people made some false accusations about the channel. I figured the channel was done, but I had been prepared for that. You know that I've been deleting the content every few weeks, just in case there's some kind of violation. And to my shock, though, because I appealed it, because the things I was accused of weren't accurate, and YouTube got back quick and said that no, they reinstated the channel. But I can't lie, when I saw that it had been taken down, I had a sense of relief about that, because I know how to contact the few people that I've corresponded with here over the years, and I've already been preparing for that with another platform. The platform's actually with an S, and I was just going to pivot right to that. But then I was surprised when I saw that the channel is up, so it was just another reminder that there's no control here, and I tend to always be a little more aggressive than what the norm is. So I've decided that I'm going to switch the platforms anyways, but I am, for some nostalgic purposes, going to keep this channel up, and I'm going to even concentrate harder on making sure I'm within the guidelines of YouTube so the channel can stay up. See, they've irritated me, and whoever it was that went and made false accusations, I have an idea. You know, it's been the last time when my channel got taken down is when I did the video Coon of the Century. And I went in on African Diaspora channel, Pepto-Bismol Phil, for their hypocrisy, etc. So I don't even know if that it was European racists that tried to get the channel taken down this time also. And I had went in on TARIQ NASHEED's channel too, which is interesting because, like I said, there's very, very few views here. And I think that there's a good likelihood that it's by design, particularly when I look at the quality of the other content out there. But I know I'm not in control of that. In any case, I make these videos. My typical routine is I collect data throughout the week. I can do that without it feeling like a work, so to speak. And then I record for a couple hours on Saturday. Quick and done. And what I'm going to do now is I won't be posting until I get the websites up, and I'm going to take my time. I like to go by specific dates. It's just something I've picked up through the studies over the years. So I might post intermittently, but just not every week. But the website will be open, God willing. I'm going to go for the summer solstice, June 21st. Allow myself twice as long as needed. That's kind of like standard with instructional design. You always allot double the time that you think you'll need. And, you know, that way I won't feel too much pressure, etc. But, and as I've said, I've been planning this since they took the last channel down. I had almost reached 30,000 subscribers on the old channel. Almost. Never didn't get over that, but that's not bad for a channel that does content like this, that's being honest. So starting from scratch. But yeah, it was just a reminder. I don't think real news and real social commentary, unless YouTube changes drastically, you're just not going to get that on this platform. And I like it. I'm on YouTube every day. I've learned so much on YouTube. I have a lot of positive things to say about it. But the censorship and the dishonesty and the bias towards Zionism, etc., it's just not a place worthwhile for me to contribute energy, especially when I want to tell the truth. You know, and by truth, I mean, I want to state the documents of history as they are. I want to be honest about Zionism. I want to be honest about the racism. I want to be honest about all that. I think our people deserve that. And whether or not it reaches a wider audience doesn't make a difference. I feel an obligation that if I know things, I'm obligated to try to share it with our people, period. So yeah, I was surprised that they reinstated it. Here's a little bulleted list for the day, so we got that done. Oh yeah, don't call me Afrocentric. I wanted to mention that. There was a video I saw last week from FD Signifier. He's got a large channel, and he went in on TARIQ NASHEED, and I appreciated that. And he was showing the differences between Pan-Africanism and Afrocentrism and etc. But also I went in there and made a comment on there that I appreciated that someone as large as him goes in on TARIQ. But he was also starting from the premise that the Zionists, the Ashkenazi, are the rightful claimants to the Jewish tradition. He was mentioning Kyrie Irving and the idea that he was a Hotep. And I think that, I know for a fact it's inaccurate when you start with the premise that the Ashkenazi are the sole representatives of what a Semite is. They're not even Semites. I've showed that. So, and Mr. Signifier is well educated. You can listen to him. Technically, but he's starting with that false premise. So I appreciate his content there. You can't start with the premise that black people aren't Jews. You see, and I wrote in there, and there's no arguing what I state there. You see, these are the facts of history. There's no argument. They don't even try it. He's a smart guy. He knows, and I'm not challenging him that way. Like I said, I appreciate what he was trying to do, but my emphasis is this third one down here. When you start wrong, you finish wrong. When you start wrong, you finish wrong. So those two are together. Don't call me Afrocentric, and when you start wrong, you finish wrong. See, when they say Afrocentric, which had its purpose earlier, but now Afrocentric is a term that Europeans use to try to disqualify or to minimize the history that's being discussed. And I say, no, I'm a historian. I'm a historian. Don't talk about Afrocentric, because that automatically takes the European premise of superiority. No, I can just as much talk about African history through a European lens. And if you try to corner me as an Afrocentric, I reject that. As a matter of fact, my expertise is racism, and that requires me to be an expert about the racism of European history. And when you look at that and that European racism, then we can get to the African history that is beneath all of that, precedes all of that. There is no written history, European history, without the African history of the hieroglyphs. I could go on, but I hope you see what I'm saying there. I'm not distancing myself from African perspective. I'm saying these Europeans don't get to sit and say, oh, that's Afrocentric. No, you're Eurocentric. You're Eurocentric. And that brings us back to the fact, when you start wrong, you finish wrong. European history is built on lies, period. Major lies. From the fact that Europe's not a continent. I say that all over and over again, but it's very important. These are the kind of things that our children need to know. Europe's not a continent. Europe is Western Asia. Dr. Clark told us that over 40 years ago. It's Western Asia. They made it up. They colonized Christianity. None of it belonged to them. The Northern European, the Anglo-Saxon, the ones that talk about it was their purpose to educate the rest of the world, and they were the last ones to receive a written script. They got nothing to do with Greece. Yet they claim it as their own. All that needs to be confessed and rejected. That is not their heritage. As I've said before, the Athenians, the Greeks, they would have been appalled at the notion that these savage northern tribes were claiming their history. It's a joke. So again, when you start wrong, you finish wrong. You can't do a critique about African or black men, because in this video, he pointed out the Hebrew Israelites, that people ridicule them, and obviously he hasn't looked at the data. And of course, social commentators can't be experts in everything, and he's very clear about that. He doesn't make mistakes that way. That's why I say he's a trained academic, I believe. But I will reiterate, when you start wrong, you finish wrong. And black people have every justification to make a claim to the history of the Bible as any Ashkenazi, and I suggest more so. And until our people realize that, we're going to stay in categories that these racists have constructed for us, and I knock all that down. So, no, I'm not Afrocentric. I'm a historian. And you can't be a historian of human history without Africa. Africa is essential. It's at the heart of it. As a world historian, you have to be Afrocentric to begin with. That's how it starts. So no, I reject, no, I'm a historian. I'm a historian, and if a racist wants to say I'm Afrocentric, I will throw that right back at them and say, no, actually, my expertise starts with European racism. And when you go into the history of European racism, at its core, you find Africa. You see, and then I deconstruct their lies. And so where Afrocentrism was a powerful term 40 years ago, Afrocentrism now is a term that they use to isolate, separate, and give the illusion that their history is more authentic, which it is not. Their history is comparatively, as far as authenticity goes, it's laughable. It's laughable. And I showed you what I use to deconstruct history, or how my approach to history. It's very honest. Dr. Francisco Gilwhite, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I knew the first time I read through it that that's what I would use to teach children history, the rules of history, what history really is. And that's the historical investigative research method. I put it in front of all of my videos for academics or anybody that thinks they might want to debate the data that I present. I give my format right there from go. This is what you're walking into. It's very honest. It's very honest. It ensures integrity. And it's very simple. So yeah, the significance of that, you must remember, when you start wrong, you finish wrong. So anytime you start with pale-skinned European Ashkenazi Jews as the representation of what the ancient Israelites and Canaanites were, you are starting wrong, grossly wrong. And so long as we have our mainstream academics, even trained, regurgitating these myths, we're going to have a problem. So, yeah, when you start wrong, you finish wrong. And keep in mind, I do like that gentleman's critique of TARIQ NASHEED. Yeah, and according to what he's covering there, yeah, I view myself as a Pan-Africanist as far as those categories are concerned. I do not look at I look at black people everywhere. We are one group. They categorize us as one group, and at the same time, I believe that the American descendants of slavery or whatnot, we have an exclusive justice claim just for us here in North America. But I also support reparations for all the other groups that have been exploited, which we're not going to get if we don't address the elephant in the room of Zionism to begin with. Okay, yeah, small hat, racist midget ghoul. Where's it at? Yeah, Ben Shapiro, wimpy. He's a little bitch, straight up. And he's talking about President Trump should pardon Derek Chauvin. And he just does that because he's a hateful, resentful, mean, ghoulish, soulless beast. And you think I'm joking with that? I want you to look very closely at his brow and what his resting face is, and the resentment and the hate. It's chiseled into his very constitution. And what makes him worse is he's a weak and feeble little man. Nothing worse than a resentful coward. Nothing. I know he advocates for war all the time and wouldn't be able to, he couldn't bust a grape. I doubt he could whoop his wife. Side note, but a parallel, some of the worst things that I've ever seen done to other human beings was by weak and feeble men after a man was down. You see me, after they'd been beaten down, when they were completely weak and vulnerable, these men that wouldn't do to fight him before that happened would come up and do just awful things to someone that was vulnerable. See, they'd never initiate it to begin with, but they'll certainly do it when they're in power and they don't have any consequence. People like Ben need to learn about consequences. He walks around in public without anyone saying anything to them. I think a lot of that's going to change. A lot of that's going to change. They think that they're going to make America Jim Crow again, and it's not. And he's a little small hat Ashkenazi Zionist. Hateful. Why do people even pay attention to him? He's a racist. And he forgets that he's not white. Trust me, the Anglo racists, they know very well that even though he looks like a pale face, he's not. He's a Jew and he carries our blood. not the other way around. So, you know, I think we're going to be seeing more of that Luigi energy. That's what they're afraid of. And I think as long as this government continues to exploit people and treat them less than human, I think we'll end up seeing more of that. Oh, American shame. Convicted felon and colonizer. President Custer threatens to kill everyone in Gaza. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment that is just for an American president. And I read the text. It's not a misquote. The mainstream media, Owen Jones talks about that. Mainstream media ignored the fact that he said that he threatened to kill everyone in Gaza. Now, he's known for being bombastic, but he at the same time shows this great appreciation and this false outrage about the way that the Jewish prisoners held by Hamas were treated, with no mention of the Palestinians. It's very clear they don't respect Palestinian life. They don't consider them the same. And, you know, I don't think he'll make it his whole term. I do not be surprised if both him and Netanyahu are dead before his term's up. They're both unhealthy and the world hates them. And I think that can have an effect in ways that we haven't been able to quantify yet with science. They're hated. They're hated. They should be hated. They're a threat. They're awful people. So, yeah, that's just an embarrassment. I mean, America is convicted. Not convicted. 34 felonies. You know, I come from a criminal background, so I know better than I don't think someone's less than necessarily because of certain crimes, but, you know, he's got but to think that you'll get the presidency after 34 felonies just says a lot about the morality of the America. America is pathetic, just pathetic. And so are the Democrats. And they're falling. So I just wanted to point out how callous that is. No consideration. And then to do the pictures with him and Netanyahu on the beach. It could be a premonition. Maybe those pictures of him and Netanyahu on the beach is hell. And that's what their future is before his term is out. Remember I said that. So, oh yeah, we're about to have some fun with this next one. And I'm unprepared today. But you remember what I warned you about TARIQ NASHEED with the Mojaro grift? This was months ago. This was months ago. We've had a couple videos. But you remember, this was months ago, where I showed the Mojaro application. I said that he was going to be coming out with a religion. I talked about how absurd it was or whatnot. Well, this just came out last week from TARIQ Bey's channel, Moorish World TV, where he showed just recently TARIQ, and I'm about to play a clip at the end of this that is just, oh, it's so cringy. And then I'm going to publish it separately also, but it is so cringy. But he shows that TARIQ is starting with his religion now, and I told you months ago it was coming. So, but I told you about the Mojaro grift. So, and I showed you his whole history. How step to him. I told you about entryism. That's how he got in with the ADOS. It fits real perfect. I showed you where you can book him. He's a product. He's an empty container to promote products, and he's not the one promoting the product or brainstorming them. I showed you that there's his handler, Sharon El-Kabas, of Israeli descent. His father's from Israel. Now that tells you why TARIQ doesn't dare tell the truth about Zionism. There he is when he was the gangster rapper. He'd been trying to get in the industry for years. He's been there for years. He's connected to these people. He's a puppet. And it's very sad that our people take what he has to promote, hook, line, and sinker. I think we can appreciate some of the social commentary he does and stuff like that, but I said with everything he does, there's a product to sell. And FBA, I showed you the flag that he was selling. Dr. Welsing t-shirt. He paid for a funeral, but he's also getting paid back. FBA bandana with everything. Now just follow the pattern. And then people have the audacity to ask me what my background is when I tell the truth about him. Are you kidding me? Oh, here's where he started his holiday. Talked horrible about Karenga, who started Kwanzaa. Karenga, who had least before his whatever his involvement was with the federal government. but at least had an origin, an authentic Black liberation movement. But he makes up this Arututuse and says and downplays Karenga's contribution with Kwanzaa. But what I say about the product, you've seen this before. What did he do? How do you celebrate Arututuse? You give a gift of a book that will lift the other person up. And what, just by surprise, he has a book. He has a book, so he uses it as a thing. He insults the intelligence of our people. And the people that are pulling his strings and promoting this, any of them that aren't Black people, and I'm sure there's quite a few of them, I'm sure they're laughing their asses off. I talked about the homosexual fetish blaxploitation. Who shows their people like that, even if it happened? You show me where Jewish people, the whole horrific things they endured in the Holocaust, where they would put their pictures on there with the things that they endured, because they endured rape too. That's documented. You don't see them making movies about it. To remind everyone, the unconscious and even conscious effects that imagery has. Nah, forget that. Here I quote Michi X, she cracks me up. You follow dumb people, that's your dumbass fault. I repeat that, because we're going somewhere here. I got something new for you. And then, this little thing down here too, just this quick gross hypocrisy. There is simply no substitute for the moral legitimacy that foundational Black Americans represent. This is from Professor Sometimes Black Truth. You don't get to claim moral legitimacy when you deny a genocide. And the FBA, the common talking point for them is they deny the genocide of the Palestinians. They say they have nothing to do with it. What's worse about that is they'll bring it up to say they have nothing to do with it. That's just worse. It's just worse. It's so tasteless. It's so arrogant. It's so despicable. You don't get to say a word about our history of moral legitimacy when you turn another cheek to genocide. Period. But what I want to do right now is, you've seen all this. Now remember, I did this months ago. Now I'm going to show you what the Archivage just did from his channel. So I warned you about the Mojara grift. I said it was coming. I said he started his own religion. He's going to try to sell a religion now. What I offer to you is the following clip. Let's go.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start it off with the Mojara prayer. Everybody bow your virtual heads. Most High, Creator of all, we honor the Mojara spirit within us. Ancestral power flows through our veins, guiding us with wisdom and strength. May we walk with the grace of our ancestors, those who have come before us, and honor their sacrifices. Let the energy of Mojara protect us from harm, uplift our spirits, and guide us towards our true purpose. With every step, may we embrace the sacred power within, the spirit that has carried us through our trials and tribulations. We ask for clarity, strength, and peace as we live with purpose, rooted in our divine heritage. Through the Mojara spirit, we are connected, we are whole, and we are powerful. Amen, everybody. Give me an amen and give me a prayer hand.
Yeah. How absurd is that? How cringy is that? Anyone claiming FBA, that's what people are going to come back to. This whole history I'm showing you right now, when it comes time to delegitimize FBA, if it ever gets enough movement, when it comes time to delegitimize it, they're going to snatch the heart out of it with this, and they're going to make fun of anybody claiming FBA based on that content alone. And of course, what I've already showed you already. TARIQ is a grifter. TARIQ is an actor. TARIQ's number one interest is TARIQ. And when he stirs animosity with the Latino community, and when he stirs animosity with our fellow Africans, It's all to benefit himself. It's not smart. It's not smart. I've always said, anyone that's racist towards us, we need to deal with it. We should deal with it aggressively. Any other group. But I reiterate, all of those other groups aren't like that. All Africans from the diaspora don't hate African Americans. All Latino people don't hate African Americans. Many of them know exactly who our enemy are. 5 words for you. Together we could end them. Together we could end them. Politically, together we could end them. It's so simple from what I see. I wish I could just give an implant so other people could just look at it for just a moment from the perspective that I have. It's so common sense. I could stand shoulders to shoulder with Latinos and Asians, Native Americans, shoulder to shoulder. We can give each other the side eye from shoulder to shoulder, but we should all face the real enemy. And that real enemy is the pale racist and their pale racist Zionist counterparts, because they work together. But you have to understand them separately. We should face the real enemy, and they are our enemy. Make no mistake about it. And when you add to that, as far as the Zionists are concerned, the far left-wing Europeans should be facing them also. We can give them the double side eye, and they can give us the side eye, but it's a fact. Zionism is a threat to everybody. Why do you think I mention it over and over and over again? So, did you hear him preaching? Did you hear him preaching? Really? Now, just think of that. Run it back and just look at the history here. I'm showing you what he's an actor. He's an actor. What you're seeing is an act. He appropriated the whole ADOS movement, talked horrible about Yvette and Tone. Who would embarrass him? Yeah, when it comes to the knowledge on the subject, embarrass. They would leave a carcass. He would have to revert to insults because he's really, really good at, he's very, very funny when it comes to the dozens. But that's what he'd have to revert to. But with everything he does, there's a product. And now you got the new product. I showed you. Just look at it. Look at the history. And you got people still upset that I tell the truth about them. This is what they're going to say. That's what they're going to say. It's so easy to delegitimize them. So easy. And Euro people like to, they love to do that. So they'll cancel him. Number one, I think they're pulling his strings. Clearly you saw who his handlers are. And number two, it's very easy for them to cancel him whenever they want to. He was working with Michael Moore over 2 decades ago. He's an actor. So this brings us to you are not white, number 3. So right here. And I'm done laughing at for the Trump voters, I'm still laughing, but I think it's awful what they're doing to Latino people. And I'm not naive. I said last week, I laughed at first when I saw all the racist Latinos, seeing all the stories. And, but I only laughed for a day because I'm not naive. Because if you think that the hate is going to be just on Latinos, which it probably will be while Trump is in office, the hate's going to come back to us. We're the number 1 favorite hated. I think it's horrible what they're doing to these people. I think it shows just how racist the country is. And I don't have faith that it'll happen. But the Latinos who thought they were white, they should wake up now. And I'm seeing all kinds of videos where they're feeling it. They're feeling the gaze that black people are so accustomed to. They're feeling the gaze. They're being harassed. Where they used to think they were white, they're finding out, no, you are not white. And I'm going to run this. And then I told you about the race hustler, the woman at the NYTN channel, who's clearly not white and does all this. It's very condescending the way she talks about race. She talks about Africans as if they are other, even though it's her DNA. And then she'll go at the same time and talk about I'm white. No, you're not white, lady. Not at all. And I'm sure she's feeling it too. Her and her husband that claims to be white. So the Latinos, you need to wake up. Will they stay awake? Nah. I'm not holding my breath, but they are finding out very clearly that they're not white. The same thing for the Arabs, like that Hassan Pinker, Cenk Uyghur's nephew or whatnot, not talking about he's white. Whenever they call themselves white, it is an anti-black statement. Make no mistake about it. Anytime they try to claim it, it is an anti-black statement, because I assure you they know they're not white. They wish they were, and they should. How embarrassing is that? But no, we live in a society now where you're finding out now. You're finding out you'll never be accepted by them. Ever. Ever. And that's why you should be grateful that their population is in a nosedive. Unretrievable. So let's take a look at You Are Not White Part 3. Let's go.
A police car behind me put the lights on, so I stepped on the side, right, to let him pass through. But it didn't happen, so he just parked in front of my car, the other one parked behind me. And they just got out of the car with the guns in the hands and say, turn off the car, give me the keys, open the window. And at this point, they didn't ask me for any ID. I was telling the officer if I can give him the ID, but he said that just keep my hands up, not moving. After that, he told me to get out of the car, and then he put the handcuffs on me. And then he went to me and said, how did I get into this country? And if I was waiting for court or if I have any case. And he looked at his other partner like, smiling, like saying, can you believe this guy? At this point, I was with handcuffs sitting on the sidewalk. And then he took my ID and saw that it was a real ID. The other guy said, take the handcuffs off, take the handcuffs off. I was Trump supporter. I voted for Trump last elections, but because I thought it was going to be the things, like be pointless, like just go against criminals, not every illegal Hispanic looking like that they will assume we are illegals. That's what they're doing now. They're just following Hispanic people looking like, because they didn't ask me for anything.
You have to say if you're white, colored, or mixed, and that the person you're trying to marry, are they white, colored, or mixed? I had my husband on a few weeks ago, and we were just talking, and he identifies as white, but he's also Hispanic. He's got English, Puerto Rican, and Mexican indigenous heritage, and he was saying he considers himself white, he considers me white. If we were trying to get married 100 years ago, we would have to check. I don't know if we'd check mixed or colored. I'm not sure what we would get.
That's
Yeah. Ain't nothing white about her. Ain't nothing white about her or her husband. They're wannabes at best. She's a race hustler. Oh, what that brings us to? Here we go. Ancestralproductions.com. June 21st, 25, God willing. And I've dabbled with websites before, but I'm going to stay there. I made the decision. I'd been prepared for that anyways, but I'm going to keep the YouTube channel going. It's going to be rated G here. I've been irritated now. So it's just for the nostalgia of having the channel. I'm going to keep it up, and I will contribute here, and it'll be toned down. I'm going to make a effort to stay within YouTube guidelines. That way it steps up, and when you want more honest content, you'll have the option to come to the channel. And I do indeed have some surprises come the solstice, and you're going to see me apply my background in instructional design. So I have a way that the information will be able to be transmitted, and everyone likes free stuff. That's what it is. So I guess I should thank whoever it was that hated on the channel and lied about it and tried to get it taken down for me telling the truth. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Not very little conjecture here. You don't like these facts? But now you made it where I'm going to be very, very careful about how I state them, but I'm going to be even more thorough about these facts. YouTube's not the place. It's just not. Savvy Sabs just did a video because Hassan Piker got taken off Twitch or whatnot. But she just did a video explaining, and she even had a solution that I think could work. I wish someone would do that for our content creators. But we need to, I think group platforms would be better. But if nothing else, if you're doing channels or whatnot, you are honest about data and you're telling the truth about Zionism and European history and racism, you want a platform that you can control. Otherwise, let's take a look. Otherwise, you end up with your channel taken down, out of your control, and it's not always for purposes of integrity. As I said, my last channel, there was nothing vulgar on there. There was nothing. There was a whole lot of honesty on there, though. So, and I offer, and I mean that from my deepest sincerity. I have our people's best interest in mind. I can't claim that I know what's best for our people, but I can analyze the field, and I've done it for 20 years. I've done it for 20 years. I haven't done it for monetary reasons. I've done it because someone needs to do it. So, yeah, I'm sure I'll pop in and post fun stuff or whatnot every once in a while, but I appreciate those of you that have been around for the years. And when we resume this channel here, I have the website will be up, and I'm going to stay at the website and keep this going also. And so until then, as always, peace and blessings to all. And this has been an Ancestral production.